Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to Who'd Win and Why. And this time we got a battle of the two shape-shifting healing villains. We got Carnage going up against the T-1000 from Terminator 2. Now, there is one thing I want to say before I get started with this video, and this is more so relating to the last episode, which was Nemesis versus Sinister Strange, which were a battle of two fan-made characters, one of them being mine. If you haven't seen that, I recommend you see it. And in that video, I did say that I wasn't going to add any more fan characters, and there probably wasn't going to be any more fan battles. And the reason why I said that was because, there's probably, if I didn't say that, there was probably going to be, like, some people that wanted to have their fan characters be in the show, and that might have been, like, it might have been, like, overwhelming. There might have been a lot of people asking for that. And even if I do make any more fan characters, like fan character versus fan character, really it's only going to be entertaining. Like, it can still be entertaining to everyone, but it's mainly going to be entertaining to the people that created these characters. And, if I use characters that, like everyone knows, then that just makes it more entertaining for everyone. So what I'm going to say is that if you, I'm going to keep the three fan characters that I have going right now, which are Gage Unruh's The Shadow, Lucas Green's Nemesis, and my Sinister Strange, those three fan characters. If you guys want to see, like, any of these three fan characters go up against, like, any real characters, like, I don't know, like Spider-Man or Batman or Iron Man or anything like those, if you guys want to see anything like that, you might want to see that, you might not. I'm just saying that if you do end up wanting to see that, you can tell me in the comments below. Like, you can suggest, like, a fan character going up against a real character or anything like that. So, like, I'm not gonna shut down the idea of, like, fan battles, but if you guys want to see, like, a fan character versus a non-fan character, you can comment that down and go right ahead. If you don't want to, that's fine as well. So you know what, that was a pretty long introduction. Let's get into this video. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out. So first I'm going to talk about Carnage. I did talk about Carnage in Venom versus Carnage, but I'm just going to give, like, a refresher, because for this might be for some of you, this might be your first episode, the first video that you've seen of me. If it is, hi, nice to meet you. Please subscribe. No, but anyway, let's move on. So with Carnage, he is extremely strong. He can lift up to about 50 tons, though he has been shown to lift more. Like, 50 tons is more of, like, the lowest. He's shown to be able to lift more because of the constant supply of energy from the symbiote. He's also been shown to have the speed to keep up with Spider-Man, and has been shown to be faster than Spider-Man, who can run up to 200 miles per hour. And he also has superhuman durability, has superhuman stamina and endurance, considering that he gets a constant supply of energy from the symbiote. He doesn't seem to tire, or at the very least, he can keep fighting at his max for an extremely long period of time. And he has been shown to have a very good healing factor. His healing factor has been inconsistent over the years, but at its best, he has been shown to be, his best regenerative feat has been being shown to actually regenerate his head from his body, like regrow his head, or regrow his body from his head. And that is crazy. Like, that's a crazy level of healing, like, it's regenerative. It's not even just like you put your head back on, like, you're actually growing new body parts, which I find that's cool. First of all, I find that really cool, but it's also just completely insane and frankly OP. But anyway, back to Carnage. So Carnage he does have some shape-changing abilities, some abilities that Venom actually doesn't have. He can camouflage himself, as well as being able to change his arms into, like, detachable weapons or, like, blades. So he does have some sort of shape-changing abilities, like some sort of, like, knives or, like, like axes, like, taking the form of that. Generally it's being used through his hands. I think he has been shown to, like, make some shields before, but other than that, he hasn't made that many he hasn't made that many objects or anything like that. If he can, I haven't seen anything like that, but I'm pretty sure his shape-changing is fairly limited. So yeah, he is strong, he's fast, he's durable, he's healing, he does have healing, regenerative ability, so he can survive gunshots fairly well. He can take a large amount of punishments. The symbiote obviously is weak to sound and fire. Those are its two main weaknesses. Like vibrations or explosives, anything that's along those lines, it is very weak to. Actually, in my research, I actually found out that Carnage is less weak to vibrations and sound as the Venom symbiote is, but it actually is more weak to fire than the Venom symbiote is, which I actually thought was really interesting. So you know what? Now you know something. If you didn't know that, now you know it. So yeah, but it is still weak. Those are its two main weaknesses. Also, Carnage, the symbiote, does make him feral, so he is very feral, he is very dangerous, but he also is not really that much of a strategist at all. He has teamed up with other villains in the past, but generally he doesn't really think about anything. He's a completely feral, and he just likes to keep fighting and keep keep like throwing punches until his opponent is dead. Though his stamina and his endurance and his danger, like his deadliness, has been shown that like there haven't been that many times where Carnage has been stopped by Spider-Man alone. He's had to team up with other heroes and even Venom in order to bring him down, and that's really saying something if you're too tough for Spider-Man to handle, as I've said many times on the show. So those are the main things about Carnage. I'll come back to Carnage if I think of anything else as usual, but now let's move on to the T-1000. Now the T-1000, some of you, when you first heard this, when you first saw the title of this video, you might think, well, I've never heard of this idea before, and you know what, maybe you haven't, but this idea is actually really good because these two characters have a lot of similarities. The T-1000, when it comes to like how physically strong he is and how physical he is, generally he has around the same stats as the Terminator when it comes to strength and speed. When it comes to speed, he can run up to about 40 miles per hour, I think, and with strength, he has been shown to have around the same strength as the Terminator, though he has been shown to actually like throw around the Terminator with relative ease. So it might even be implied that he might even be a bit stronger than the Terminator, and he has been said by even the T-800 himself to be even more advanced than him. When it comes to durability, he has a high level of durability. His metal is like a liquid metal alloy. He is extremely durable, and he also has not regenerative, but if he does like get blasted to bits or something, he can regenerate himself. Although like generally like when he's in multiple pieces, his main goal is to just like come back into one thing, and when he is back into his full form, then he starts fighting again. So it's not like he keeps fighting like there's like two mini me's or whatever like fighting. He's just going to reform into one person and then he's going to start fighting. He does have shape-changing abilities as well. He can change his shape completely into any person that I believe he's touched, meaning that if he touches anyone, or like Carnage, he can probably shape-change into him. He has been shown to also shape-change into objects like a chair or a table, I believe, if he really needs to. So that's also really interesting if he needs to like hide out or camouflage. He does have camouflage abilities as well, but if he needs to hide or anything like in plain sight, he can do that. He also has been shown to actually shape change some of his body parts into other things in a Carnage-like way. He has been shown to shape change stuff into blades like Carnage, and also just like really anything that doesn't have any like complex machinery, like guns and explosives. He can't like make anything out of himself. He hasn't been shown to be able to do that. But like just standard things like blades or javelins or anything like that. He even made like a pair of sunglasses for himself. He can do things like that. So it is pretty versatile. It's not completely versatile, but considering what it is still pretty versatile. So yeah, he can shape change parts of his body or his whole body depending on if he needs to, and he can come back. Like I said, he can come back, but really he won't keep fighting until he is back into one piece. Speaking of fighting, he is a pretty good hand-to-hand combatant. He has in his like mind, he does know many martial arts, so that does make him a pretty good fighter, and paired with his strength and speed, it does make him a very formidable combatant. He can think many times faster than a regular person, and he is generally smarter than a regular person. He does have certain environmental analysis things that he has with him that allow him to like think faster, and he can like think for himself rather than just working completely for Skynet. But I don't even think I'd factor that in this fight anyway because it's a 1v1 match. But anyway, like he can like detect the environment and see if there's anything crucial. So I think those are actually the main things about the T-1000. He also, I believe, since he is a Terminator, he is skilled with every weapon, though he doesn't actually carry any weapons with him. If he was to make weapons, like if he was to use weapons, he can store them, but he would have to make them himself. Though, like I said, any like complex machinery like guns or like flamethrowers or anything like that, or like explosives, he'd have to find them if he was going to use them, because he can't make anything like that through his shape-changing abilities. So I think those are most of the things I have to say about these two combatants. Now, trying to figure out who's going to win is actually very, very tough. Not only because these two characters are extremely similar, but also because who's gonna die? Like, we have Carnage, who can regenerate his entire body from, like his head, and his entire head from his body. How do you stand up to someone like that? And someone who like almost like never tires? How do you stand up to someone like that? How can you put that person down? And then on the other hand, we have a guy that like if you're being blasted into bits, you can regenerate into one piece with time, but you can still regenerate into one piece, and really your only weaknesses, I forgot to mention his weaknesses, the T-1000's weaknesses, mainly like his abilities, but just and himself are generally weak to like extreme cold and extreme heat. But when I'm talking like extreme heat, I'm talking extreme heat. He can survive up to temperatures up to like 300 degrees Celsius. Yes, I said Celsius. So we're talking about like extreme temperatures of cold and heat. Then it might like disrupt some of his abilities and just him in general. But those are his main weaknesses. Those are really his only weaknesses. So who would die in this case? Like when we're talking about advantages over each other, Carnage is probably stronger and faster than the T-1000, because like Carnage at his very least, and we're talking least, is 5 times stronger than Spider-Man, which is more than the T-1000 has ever had to fight, and it's clear that the T-1000 doesn't have that kind of strength. And when it comes to speed, that's no contest. Carnage has been shown to outrun a guy who can run up to speeds of 200 miles per hour, going up against a guy who's 40 miles per hour. That's clear enough. But then when it comes to the T-1000, he is a better fighter than Carnage is. He does have he has like martial arts. He does know some martial arts because he is a robot, and he is just smarter than him. While Carnage is just feral and wants to get to the point, you know, like he's just trying to fight. The T-1000 is a better strategist and is just generally smarter and can use more. He just has more going for him when it comes to like what he can do, because he can just think of something better. Like with the surrounding environment, you know, like if he sees something that he can use, you know, he'll use it. Whereas Carnage is just like, he's just gonna keep going and keep attacking until the other guy's dead. So who would, and then when it comes to like stamina and versatility and stuff like that, you know, like they're generally around the same, because both of them have like a really good healing factor, like durability, stamina, and you know, like there are some things that Carnage has that the T-1000 doesn't have, like, you know, like he can web sling just like Spider-Man, he can wall crawl, which are some things I forgot to mention in the information section, but you guys know what I mean. And then like the T-1000 has like complete shape changing abilities into like any person that he knows about, that he touched, or like a chair, you know, anything like that. So they generally around versatility and everything else, you know, like they're around even. So who would win in a fight like this? How do you decide who would win in a fight to the death? And even if I was trying to figure out, you know, like who would win in a fight just in general, who'd win in a fight, I can't even answer that question, because both of them don't seem to tire. If I had to give that to anyone, it would probably be the T-1000, because he doesn't tire at all, whereas we haven't seen Carnage being like fighting for like days or anything like that. I don't think we've seen anything like that. So, you know, his energy supply might run out, but even then, like, I can't even confirm that, because I don't know that for 100% sure. But that's not even what this show is about. The show is to figure out who would win in a fight to the death. They're going to keep fighting until one of them dies. And I have to give this one to the T-1000. And some of you are going to be thinking, well, what the heck? Like, you know, Carnage can regenerate his entire head. Why would you give it to the T-1000? And guys, I know what you think. I know what you're thinking. But please, I think I have like 3 reasons or 3 ways that the T-1000 could be Carnage, and I'm not really liking many of them, because they're more so stuff that I almost have, I don't want to say I'm cheating, but it's stuff that like I really have to make a stretch in order for like one of them to beat the other. I don't really see how Carnage can beat the T-1000, because the T-1000 is going to keep regenerating, like assuming that Carnage does have the strength to like rip him apart, he's going to keep reforming, and Carnage doesn't have the weaknesses. He's not able to, like, he doesn't have like extreme heat or anything like that would take down the T-1000. But I can think of 3 ways that the T-1000 might be able to take down Carnage, and that's the best thing I can give you this episode, to be honest. Okay, so the first thing that he has is that, you know, this really depends on the area that they're in. If we're talking like an area that might have like a lot of sound going on in the background, which might not even work, to be honest, but like if we're talking about something like maybe like at one point during the fight, like there's something that makes a lot of sound, and then Carnage is just like, ah, you know, like all that stuff, the T-1000 might use that to his advantage. Remember, like, he has environmental analysis features that allows him to actually like think, like analyze everything, and he can think about everything. And as soon as he sees something like that, he might be able to use that to his advantage. And if we're thinking about maybe like something that would more likely happen, maybe like the T-1000 keeps trying to make weapons, because his weapon making is probably more versatile than Carnage's, to be perfectly honest. And then like he might make like something that generates sound. I don't think he'd be able to do anything that generates fire because that'd be like that'd be too complex a weapon. But if we're doing something like maybe like the metal bars that was in Spider-Man 3, at one point maybe he'll make them and maybe he'll try using them and it'll work. Again, these are stuff like eventualities that I have to use in a fight like this, because if I don't, then I don't see either of them killing the other. So that's the first point. The second point, first point, just to go over it again, maybe at one point he realizes through like fighting him that he is weak to sound, just like maybe because of a weapon that he ends up making, or just because of something that just happens depending on where they are. The second point is that Carnage's entire healing factor in general. His healing factor is completely inconsistent, and while he has been shown to regenerate his whole head, I can only think of one time that he's been able to do that, and that might be considered an outlier. And if I didn't include that for Venom versus Carnage, which was a Who'd Win and Why a while back, spoilers if you haven't seen that and if you're planning on seeing it, some of you might be asking, well, if you're taking away that part of the healing factor, would you still think that Carnage would be Venom? Yes, I would, because he's still stronger, he's still more versatile, he's still like just a more powerful character. But anyway, that's not the point of this. So there have been times where Carnage's healing factor hasn't been that good. We have seen that Carnage, he was ripped in half by the Sentry and thrown into space, and when he came back, he needed artificial legs to keep going. So his healing factor is inconsistent. So I don't want to say, I almost feel like I'm cheating here, maybe giving Carnage not so good of a healing factor. But to be honest, there have been more times where Carnage's healing factor hasn't been up to Deadpool level than when it has, regenerating your head or whatever. So yeah, that's how I see it. If we're using a Carnage that might not have as good a healing factor, the T-1000 is simply just going to keep fighting him until he finds a way to rip him in half. The third part, which I think is probably the best part that I can say, because this is a part that I know will work, is that they're just going to keep fighting until the T-1000 is literally going to outlive Cletus Cassidy. And again, I don't really like saying that because, it's just something that I don't really like to find in a fight, but it's what's true. Cletus Cassidy they could keep fighting until Cletus Cassidy dies. The T-1000 isn't going to die, and he isn't going to tire either. And then we have Carnage, who might tire. Again, going back to the energy supply, I'm not sure if it's unlimited. In fact, it probably isn't. So, they could keep fighting, and then Carnage might eventually get tired, and he might still not be able to kill Carnage if, he has that regenerative ability. But even so, Cletus Cassidy at one point is going to die. And while that doesn't kill both Cletus Cassidy and the symbiote, because the symbiote will try to find a new host after Cletus Cassidy dies, that has been shown that once the host dies, the symbiote needs another person. So it's not like Cletus Cassidy can't die without the symbiote on. He surely can, assuming that the T-1000 just outlives Carnage. And if Carnage, while it's not technically killing both the human and the symbiote, it's the closest thing I can get, guys. I'm sorry, this episode in general might not be the best, but it's just because I have to use what I can, and this is simply the best thing I can use. That the T-1000, he does have ways to kill Carnage that will eventually happen. It's just that I don't see any way that Carnage can kill the T-1000, and through stretching some things, I can see the T-1000 killing... Sorry, wait, I'm not sure if did I word that correct? Okay, let me just start over. So, I feel, I don't see any way that Carnage can kill the T-1000, but through some stretching, I feel that the T-1000 does have ways to kill Carnage. So, guys, that was the episode. I really hope you enjoyed it, even though it wasn't the best, when it comes to who would win. But I do hope you guys agree with me. If you guys don't agree with me, please comment down why, because I want to know why you think the Carnage might be able to kill T-1000. If there was any weakness of T-1000 that I missed, that you guys are thinking wait, the Carnage could kill him through this. Again, I don't know everything. I don't know everything about each character. So please comment down below everything like that. If you did like this episode, if you didn't end up liking it, please give me a like, comment down below everything I said before, and if you could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. That would make my day. I would appreciate it so much. So guys, that's it. That's really the end of the episode. Again, I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys agree with it regardless. If you don't, that's okay, because it's just my opinion. And next time on Who'd Win and Why, we got the Season 3 finale. It's the movie Spider-Man Battle Royale. We got Tobey Maguire going up against Andrew Garfield, going up against Tom Holland, all as their Spider-Man characters. See you all then.